Let's check this out for a second. See where it goes. Something is happening to the algorithm, dude. What the fuck is happening to the algorithm? Thought Slime gets... Like, what the fuck is actually happening to the algorithm? Like, look, 160, 200, 142, 500, 172. Really good numbers for, you know... And now this is at 64. Something's... I'm not even kidding. Something is a little bit off. Let me check. Something's off.
There is a monster walking the streets of Portland. Half man, half frog.
Okay, why is Endingo afraid of Froga? Froga why? Very, very afraid. Okay, let's do some chat posting in the last hour of the stream. Reminder to everybody to subscribe, support the show, 100% sponsor free, 100% advertiser, blah, 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 blah. Who gives a fuck? Subscribe so that we can gamble and I can lose money and you can get subscriptions. That's it. That's the pitch.
All cops are bastards. The future of law enforcement bothering. The thing is that some people are wearing frog costumes at protests. Silly little inflatable frog costumes. And you might think, that doesn't sound important or scary at all. You might think that's nothing. Just a pretty unremarkable fact in the grand scheme of things. But that's what I thought too. No.
Nobody wants to gamble, though. Nobody wants to gamble. Should I go and read phase articles again? Today is a struggling day for subs. The only time you sub is when I whip out the stick. Whip out the stick. You want me to whip out the stick? I'm kidding. It's okay, man. Not every day can be very good. It's fucking fine. I do find it funny that all the subs that I've gotten today is when I was like, I will read phase articles. That's funny. Like it's.
Oh, take it from the sober word of Andy No, noted... That can't be right. Who fact-checked this? Jonathan, did we double-check on the... Okay, noted journalist, I guess, Andy No. Now, longtime viewers of this channel will remember Andy because one time he was accosted by Antifa guys who wielded biological weapons against him. I'm using the term biological weapon here to mean a weapon that is made of biological matter because they threw a milkshake at him. And maybe also those milkshakes were made of concrete if you ignore that they absolutely were not, and that's dumb. Andy No is not the type...
And even if they were...
a person to exaggerate a threat to make a political point. So you can trust him when he says something seemingly out of pocket, like, now that the local and national press have started to cover the Portland ICE area round the clock in reaction to the president, Antifa have devised a plan where they are encouraging one another to come in animal costumes. In my experience, nobody involved in such things needs any encouragement to come in an animal costume. I might cut that joke. I've been to protests in the past, and these animal costumes are not a new development. People wear them to every protest or public gathering or concert or any Halloween because they're like fun little costumes that get people's attention. And that seems like an easier explanation than being the result of some devious plot. But why are they making people wear these fucking costumes, I hear you ask? The costumes serve the function of masking the violent extremism to make the direct action appear like a family-friendly gathering on camera and to whitewash the past ultra-violence. All that past ultra-violence happening just out of frame. What you can't see from the photos and videos is all of the violence which is definitely happening, and furthermore is ultra. You can't see it because everyone's too distracted by the frogman. The violence, and trust me, there's a lot of it. The violence is
Violence Part 2 dropped.
around. It can no longer be categorized merely as violence, in fact, it is now ultra-violence. And that's a real word, not slang from A Clockwork Orange. It's a technical term which denotes when mega violence and dragon violence battle mode combine with Titanus the carrier violence. There, of course, is violence being done here, but it's not from Antifa frogmen. It's from the ICE agents that they are protesting, who are, quite literally, assaulting and kidnapping people. Like, that's what their job is. That's what they're there to do at best. And that's putting aside all of the ways that they abuse their authority. Even the legitimate use of their authority serves a violent, racist function. To wit, one will note that left out of No's characteristically stellar analysis is that the main reason for the sudden uptick in the popularity of these specific inflatable suits as a protest tactic is because they help repel pepper balls. Pepper balls are ordnance used by law enforcement, which are essentially little pellets of pepper spray that shatter and release their payload on impact. You can imagine that a big pellet designed to be fired from what is basically a handheld cannon and shatter upon impacting the human body kind of fucking hurts. So wearing a big fucking inflatable suit makes that hurt a lot less. Don't worry though, they found a clever workaround for that one. They just kind of spray the pepper spray directly into the intake fan for the inflatable suit, trapping the person inside in like a pepper spray hell. The good guys, ladies and germs, that's how come the frog costume in particular got popular, in solidarity with the guy they did that to, akin to how if one fucks with even one New Yorker, they fuck with all New Yorkers, as seen in the hit film Spider-Man.
You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us!
And given that context, maybe it's just me, but it actually does make this whole thing a lot less frightening, which is weird, because it actually wasn't frightening at all to begin with. These are silly frog costumes that we're talking about. In 2019, Antifa devised a similar plot by giving out free milkshakes at a protest. But they couldn't contain their bloodlust and nearly killed me when they saw me. Again, I covered this at the time. I just want to ask you this. Do you think, in your heart of heart, like, do you really truly believe that having a milkshake thrown at your head could be honestly characterized as almost killing someone? Like, do you think that if someone fails to contain their bloodlust, the result of that would be them throwing a liquid dessert at you? Like, because I don't feel a lot of bloodlust myself, but I've always taken it to be a more serious emotion than that. Now, I don't want to pretend like violence was not done here. It was. No claims that he suffered a brain bleed as a result of this attack, and at least one journalist has seen medical records to verify this. And I don't want to give the impression that I think it's okay to assault people if the assault happens to be a very silly one. And I do disapprove of throwing dairy products at people, even. Like, I don't think those are helpful actions under most circumstances. That being said, though, No's whole deal, the entire thing he does is show up and document resistance to fascism to the benefit of fascists who obviously want information on people resisting them. He recently went to the White House to discuss Antifa, and
I'm lactose intolerant. Hitting me with a milkshake could literally kill. No, you're still being right. I'm lactose intolerant. Hitting me with a milkshake could literally kill me. I'm lactose intolerant. Hitting me with a milkshake could literally kill me. I know you're doing a bit, but that's how I read it in my mind.
Scary frog costumes with the president.
Andy Ngo has been repeatedly beaten by Antifa thugs for his work in Andy is a very serious person, too, I have to tell you.
In 2019, Ngo was let go from Quillette after video emerged of him palling around with Patriot Prayer, laughing along and joking around, being a little pal as they planned and instigated an attack on a supposed Antifa rally. This was also discovered after Ngo had claimed that Antifa instigated this. So that does call into question his journalistic reliability. Or it would, if he had any. Boom, got him, fucking got him. That context does make a milkshaking seem a little less violent. Don't you think you would want to protect yourself if there was a guy snooping around whose far-right fans had a history of making death threats against the people he covers? The guy whose whole purpose for showing up is to lie about you and claim that you are a dangerous criminal? Do you see how that could be like a spooky thing which one might seek to protect themselves from through whatever very silly methods are available to them? If you're following along, throwing a milkshake at someone, that's attempted murder. Firing ordnance laced with pepper spray at someone, that's law and order. Wearing a suit that protects you from that ordnance, well, you're now an accessory to ultra-violence because people might look at you when you do that, and they see you, and it's distracting, and it makes the protest seem family friendly, and it's actually violent now to appear friendly. Is everyone following this okay? I hope it doesn't come across as stupid mushbrain nonsense.
Yeah, honestly, like, what the fuck am I listening to?
It's made up on the spot by fascists who don't give a shit if anything they say is consistent. I wouldn't want it to seem like that.
Good point.
In 2020, they mobilized a fake wall of moms where female Antifa
Wall of moms, dude.
supporters and members
Wall of MILFs, bro. They literally brought a bunch of MILFs to distract us, bro.
wore yellow shirts to act as human body shields, while violent rioters behind them hurled projectile weapons, presumably milkshakes. What was fake about it, Andy? Were they not real moms? Was it a fake wall? Looks like a real wall to me. I thought you guys liked building walls. Antifa uses violent tactics, you see, like having people shield others from attack, which is violence. And using dastardly yellow shirts to confuse and dazzle the mind. That just proves that their self-defense was premeditated. They hurled projectile weapons, which is bad and evil to do. But also, if you were to protect yourself from a projectile weapon, say a small sphere of concentrated chemical weapons like pepper spray, that would also be evil and bad, but only when Antifa does it. Andy knows a fascist dipshit, News at 11. Why am I talking about this? Why do I talk about anything ever? Why not just fall over and let the earth slowly reclaim me? Well, it would be one thing to say that the media shouldn't focus on the silly
Me every single morning before a stream.
bad, but only why do I talk about anything ever? Why not? You know, as a fascist dipshit, News at 11. Why am I talking
Yeah, me before every stream. It's just a tiny, tiny midlife crisis.
about this? Why do I talk about anything ever? Why not just fall over and let the earth slowly reclaim me? Well, it would be one thing to say that the media shouldn't focus on the silly stuff at these protests because that distracts from the violence that the protesters are definitely doing somewhere. Trust me, bro. That would still be stupid fascist apologetics, but it would at least make sense from the perspective of a stupid fascist apologist. But that's not what Noah is saying. He's saying that the tactic of wearing a silly costume is itself a dangerous violence tactic because its purpose is to distract people while the violence is done elsewhere, which may or may not be ultra-violence. This is all a coordinated campaign where the silly costume guys and the ultra-violence doers are working in tandem. So both of those groups should be treated the same way. You can essentially react to someone wearing one of these costumes as though they're committing ultra-violence. In this framing, there are no nonviolent means of protest. Any nonviolent tactic is done to support and facilitate violence being done somewhere else. If any one Antifa guy, as defined by No, is ever violent, that means that anyone he deems to be their comrade is therefore participating in and culpable for that same violence. And because they're both woke or whatever, that means trans people are violent, and therefore Democrats are violent, et cetera, so on and so forth. They need not actually implicate any of these individual groups in any particular instance of violence, ultra or otherwise. By lumping all of these groups under the same banner, all of their enemies share liability for anything another one of their enemies does. Take, for example, the fear of urban crime that conservatives constantly harp on about now. That fear of urban crime was, in fact, the pretense that allowed the Trump regime to invade Portland in the first place, necessitating this protest. These cities, these urban cities, are so dangerous. Nobody can walk down the street without being immediately robbed, killed, and canceled. Every city in North America right now is up in flames. It's just a lawless hellscape where gangs and thugs rule over a terrified citizenry. Please note the effort to distinguish between citizens and criminals. Criminals are not citizens in this schema. Something must be done about all this urban crime. It's urban, this crime. It's happening in these urban areas, urbanly. Here's a fun little thought exercise for you. Play along at home if you like. If I were to describe a person as looking urban, what kind of person do you imagine? Do you perhaps think of Carl Urban? Of James Urbaniak? Hell, I live in an herb. Do you picture lily white little me? Let me ask you another question. If I were to describe music as having an urban sound, what kind of music springs to mind? Urban
As
Dictionary.
a non-American, I was always very confused by this. I remember hearing it for the first time. I was like, but all the races live in the center. Because that, like, urban to me means living in the center of a city. Like, you know, in the center and around the center of the city. I was like, but people of all ethnicities live in the center. What? Wait. Super confusing. Urban, literally thought slime. I like how there's one, dude. There's one. It's kind of low key based. I don't know what to think about it. I don't know if we have black people in chat, like Bulgarians in particular, and Macedonians. I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Macedonians as well. When they refer to hip hop music, you know what they call it? They call it black music, but black in no way derogatory or whatever. Like in no context is it derogatory when they call it black music. So I don't know. It's like giving respect to the fact that black people basically created this genre, including many other genres. By just calling it black music, they don't call it rap. They don't call it hip hop. That was very strange for me as well. First time I heard it, I was like, "What?" Just call it black music. Like, oh, what do you like to listen to? And a person like a Bulgarian will literally say, "Oh, black music." And the first time I went to Bulgaria, I was like, "What the fuck? Like black metal?" They're like, "No, just black music." I'm like, "What the fuck do you mean?" They're like, hip hop rap, I guess." Right? Pretty, just anthropologically interesting how that developed. I listen to black music. You tell me whether that's based or not. I don't know. From one perspective, I mean, I don't know what to think.
Who ought to know what the word urban means, give one definition of urban as black people. You see, it's the urban cities where this urban crime is urbaning. The cities are where law and order are urbanly breaking down and chaos reigns. The cities, where most people of color and specifically black people happen to live, that's where the urban crime is happening urbanly, done by urbans with their urban culture and urban music and urban. Of course, this crime wave that they're talking about is like imaginary. Violent crime has been decreasing for decades in cities and everywhere else for that matter. But that doesn't matter even a little bit. If facts mattered to these shit for brains, they wouldn't think that black people were more likely to commit crimes in the first place. It's a real racist thing to think. And I know we're all pretty sensitive about calling things racist these days. Like that word gets thrown around a lot. But I think this one fits the bill. And if you'd like to argue that it doesn't, don't. My point here, and I'm certain I have one, aside from just generally...
That was so sassy, I loved it. Don't. That was so good.
Like, oh wow, that's a really racist thing they're all just doing. Is they already have a reason that they can use to over-police and repress communities where there just so happen to be a lot of black people. They have cemented in the minds of a particular kind of racist that black people are just innately criminal, that places where black people live are crime places. They don't got to say shit. They can just say city, urban, blah, blah, blah. And their key demo of white racists will nod along, like, because they already low-key kind of think that way. But, like, if they wanted to attack, say, gay people, who also tend to live in cities, they couldn't quite use that language, right? Unless those gay people were themselves black, in which case, game on, go for it,
but
I
isn't
guess.
it then, isn't it then city people? The city folk, city people usually implies kind of like effeminate male, but usually the context in which it is used, it's usually a person from a smaller town calling them city people. But it kind of implies, metrosexuals, which kind of implies, they're calling a straight guy gay, the classic straight experience. Some rich people shunning Southern people when majority Southern population is black. Yeah. I love when there's like these super popular videos on TikTok with some people in the American South doing some like traditional American thing, like a dance, the dances that they do, or like the circular dance that they do, and it's like a shot of like 500 people doing it, and like out of the 500 people doing it, like 410 are black people, at least black appearing. I don't fucking know. Motherfuckers got melanin. I don't know what the fuck to call it. And half of the comments immediately were like, "What the fuck? Where the fuck is this? What the fuck? Like, why are they taking our culture and shit? Like, what the fuck?" Because they're, wearing cowboy hats and doing the dance. And then I'm like, but isn't the majority of the South, like, not the majority of the South, but isn't there like a ton of people of color in the South? Like, what the fuck? They just can't imagine a stereotypical cowboy who has more melanin. It's like it's not allowed in their head. Like half of the comments are always that. It's so fucking weird. People being surprised there's black people in the American South. Like, the fuck?
I mean, I don't mean you don't have my permission to do it, because the particular way that gay people are demonized has very little to do with overtly violent crime. People have not been primed to associate gay people or socialists or environmentalists or many other groups that the right don't like with being like in immediate danger of being mugged. If anything, they're often demonized in the exact opposite way, as weak, pathetic soy jacks who pick fights they can't possibly win against the Chads they oppose. Why then the Chads can't seem to defeat them is a paradox left unexplored. The right must therefore create an association between these groups and violence in order to justify the repressive steps they wish to take. And luckily for them, they've already put in the legwork into depicting black people this way.
Like Antifa and Black Bloc have existed in Europe proper since 1946, the 1 year after World War II. And it only became a big, quote-unquote, thing in the U.S. because they managed to fully co-opt all narrative around it, where they basically took an idea, pitched to everyday Americans that it's a non-fluid hierarchical organization, and they said that they want to kill people and blow shit up and do terrorismus. Then they linked said Antifa with leftism in general, and they created that bundle. The reason I'm bringing it up in contrast to Europe is that it existed in Europe for so long, but nobody really did anything about it, right? Because to do something against an anti-fascist organization, even when it's movement, not organization, even when it's militant, is still seen as somewhat taboo in a lot of places. But that's because the Eurocucks don't have the talent for spinning stories of a similar scale that Americans do. Americans, the second they saw it, they were like, this is a perfect motherfucking opportunity. A perfect opportunity. And they spinned it.
Can just lump their enemies together under some extremely shallow pretext. Doesn't matter what it is. The overarching socialist conspiracy that controls all of their enemies, all of them are working together. They're all united in this vast, confusing plot for no benefit to themselves or one another. And I saw a gay guy and a black guy in the same room one time, and my no good grandkids complain when I say anything bad about either group, so obviously they're in cahoots. In this process, all of their enemies cease to be different types of people and are congealed into simply the enemy. Anything bad that one of your enemies does, or you pretended they did, shows how bad and dangerous all of your enemies are and how necessary you are to get rid of them.
And I am the only one that can save this nation, because they're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will never be moving.
You can see this most obviously in the way that they demonize migrants. The migrants are bringing urban crime to the border, which isn't even urban. That's how bad it's getting. Our urban crime is now rural. And if that doesn't work, they'll just say that the migrants are black. So you should obviously be scared of them. They will say with a straight face that Somali warlords have taken over Minnesota. And I don't think that's true, because I think I'd have heard about it if that were true. Those dastardly Democrats love urban crime. They want more of that to happen because of their goals. And the Democrats also support those filthy queers in theory, not in practice. And so the urban crime done by unnamed urban individuals is part of the same treasonous plot to undermine the social fabric that queer people represent. It's a scheme to make life worse for some reason. Now, none of this makes any sense, obviously. It's inconsistent and just wildly dumb. But I really can't hammer this point home hard enough. Like, you really need to hear this part, which is that nothing about that matters. That they could not care less that it doesn't make sense. They kind of like that it doesn't make sense. If it's confusing and inconsistent.
I don't know how many times I've said it, but that's fascism's greatest power and greatest weakness at the same time. All fascist ideologies are just IRL D&D, which means inventing shit. Inventing shit, connecting dots between a thing, connecting dots that aren't there, talking about perils that aren't there, talking about conspiracies that aren't there. It's you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. It must be so fun to be a fascist, I guess. I never thought of it through that context. Wouldn't it be? Like, you can just invent shit. Like, okay, let's chat. Let's do a game. Let's invent our fascist ideology. Let's do it. All right. No. Okay, what do we need? What the fuck? I just want to write. Okay. What do we need? We need big enemy. We need big conspiracy. We need interesting ancient past we want to get back to. That's very too long. Epic past. We want in-group definition. Out-group definition. Okay. What else? What else would we need? We would need form of demonizing. Out-group. Okay. And our aesthetics. Okay. Let me show you how fast you can invent a new fascist thing. Let's do it together. Okay. The out group will be people who will come on, chat. Let's see. Make it something original. Something original. Out group is straights. We could do it. Bold, play video games, mullet advocates. People who stub their toes on Tuesday. Tall people. Gamers, gingers. People who don't pay taxes. There you go, all very decent. Very decent categories. Outgroup is pilots. God, I hate pilots. You hate pilots? Come on, give me more. You can do this. Mac users. That one's good, you piece of shit. You won't let it go. Console gamers as well. You won't let it go. Will you? Okay, let's go with straights. Straight people. In group, LGBTQ plus people, plus straights that willingly convert. Okay, also known as baby farms, because you gotta have kids, right? So, out group is straight people. In group people is basically gay people of all sorts. What is the big conspiracy? The big conspiracy is our natural state is to love and have intercourse with those who have the same gender as us. Okay, our natural state is to love and have intercourse with those who have the same gender as us. The reason we stopped seeing this obvious truth was a grand conspiracy to undermine the natural way of human life. Humans, unlike animals, can think for themselves. Why would we ever want to sleep with someone that looks so fucking different to us? We need to make a conscious choice, which we all have, called the G tremble, the G tremble. Okay? That allows us to convert ourselves. Intercourse between two members of opposite gender is necessary for reproduction, but to experience sexual pleasure from it is to debase oneself to the form of an animal, completely forgetting to the form of an animal, allowing crude instincts to overtake human rationality. Okay? Kind of mix it with the epic past. We was gay and shit. But then who would want to, but then the degenerates who believed in nothing and wanted to mate like animals influenced our culture and slowly debased it to the form we see today. Okay? So, we was gay and shit, but then the degenerates who believed in nothing and wanted to mate like animals influenced our culture and slowly debased it to the form we see today. For eons, by repeating straight sex, we ended up normalizing this barbarity. It is time to wake up. Okay? How are we demonizing the outgroup? Barbaric, animalistic, weak, unintelligent, and small-minded. Aesthetics, huge gender symbols or something. Outgroup, to consider for the future, the gays for the lesbians, and the lesbians for the gays. Once the baby farms are created and all the straights are enslaved, the contradiction of this fascist state, which continuously needs an enemy, will lead to further infighting amongst the different tribes of gay. After the Fourth World War, the Third World War, when we returned the world back to its rightful form, okay, and eliminate the notion, the degenerate animalistic notion of straight intercourse, we will set our sights towards another enemy until out of all the letters in LGBTQ, there is only one letter left. There you go. There you go. This is a fully rational fascist ideology. There you go. You could literally just run a fucking movement on this. How different is this to Nazism? It's not different at all. It's the same fucking thing. It's the same thing. It makes as much sense as Nazi ideology does. It's all fucking invented. But its main goal is to keep some sort of fucking hierarchy alive. And with that being said, chat, I'm going to die of hunger. So, thank you for everything. Go and spam Hassan to watch my fucking video. I'm kidding. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Actually, fuck that. Don't do that. But like politely remind him from time to time that he should watch it because it's a good video. And I will see you next week. Thank you to the subs. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the follows. Thank you to the Oilers. Thank you to the taxers. Thank you to God. Thank you to the sky. Thank you to the chips. Thank you to Coca-Cola. Thank you to the gay people. Thank you to the straight people. Thank you to the strange people. Thank you to me. Thank you to you. Thank you to life. Yes, I'm sending you to No Justice. Have a good one. No 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 no. Come on, Raid. Bye bye.